Hello, guys. Welcome to the first ever episode of Adulting with Wunmi. Yes, Adulting with Wunmi. On this podcast, we'll be discussing a lot of things about adulting. Adulting, you cannot run away from it. You have entered the adulthood. I know a lot of people talk about how adulthood is a scam. Is it a scam for you? No,
No.
adulthood is not a scam. It's reality. It's that age and that level and that hood. When you enter that hood, you are not coming out from it. So adulting with Mumi, you have it. And today I have one of my favorites as my first guest. Isn't it beautiful? And I have the beautiful emoji here on my
Yeah,
couch.
yeah.
And today she has something special for us. Today we are discussing something really beautiful. Like I said, adulting with Mumi is just where able to speak. I want people to be able to have a platform where we have conversations, like really deep conversations. Sister, I like gist and I like to have very interesting and inspiring conversations where we have edifying conversations. And yes, I have MOJ here to do justice to one very important, one very sweet topic. So, MOJ, it's so good to have you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
for
much.
having
You know how
me.
long I've been wanting to do this? Have I told you before? I
No,
have
you
always have
haven't.
for this urge for presenting. I did mass communication by the way. So I want us to talk about waiting. You know how waiting can be. Like waiting. I've been in the I used to tell people that I've waited for the most important things of my life. Like even when my mates as at then were having it, I still have to wait extra more. I don't know, maybe there's some people like that where you still have to wait. You just have to wait. But then it's waiting easy.
Wow. Waiting is a journey, and you have to decide who you want to go on that journey with,
Mm,
you know. And the truth is, we all wait for different things. And I want to say that every individual has a waiting season, but it is what we do at that season that will rather maybe elongate the season or make it just that waiting period for a little bit, and then you can then move and get that which you want,
mm.
right? So waiting for me, well, I've had opportunity to wait twice, and if I compare the two waiting seasons, I had to wait before I could get a spouse. And at that time, all my siblings were married. My younger ones, I was not with my mom and dad at that time, and so I considered as a waiting, period
Period.
for me at that time. In as much as I told myself that I wanted to get married in 2012, and I wasn't even far gone, but at that time I didn't have a spouse like a year too. Interesting, right? And I had to wait. And then I also had the opportunity to wait for before I had my second
Child,
child.
okay.
So, but I made two different decisions. And so from there, I can deduce that, in waiting, you need to wait on God, not
Mm.
just waiting and trying to get the thing, whatever it is you're waiting for by
Mm.
yourself.
Mm.
It always have a different effect on you when you truly wait on God, and then you're waiting and then you're not trying to do it by yourself.
Mm.
So what I mean by that is, while when I was waiting to get married, when I met my husband, God actually told this is it, but I wanted to help God,
Yeah, have to do it
like
your way.
it's so slow, and on that journey, I made wrong decisions
Mm.
that really really affected me for years.
Mm.
But when I had to wait for my second child, that was a longer process. And but at that time, I was to learn what it means to be on a faith journey and the things you have to do on
Mm.
that journey.
Mm.
At that time, I think my friend, a friend of mine just said, Mujia, let's get pregnant at the same time. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure where I was mentally. I wanted to, but I desired that, I wanted 2 years between my first and
Then
my second child.
second.
So I said, okay, you know what? I'll get into it unless I'll go on the journey with you. So I proceeded, took out my family planning at that time, and I was ready. 1 year went, I was still on this
It didn't
journey.
come.
my friend was already pregnant. I'm like, okay, you know what? I would no, I'll keep at it. And then so in church, I had a friend that came to talk to me. I said, she picked about I think two of us and said, you guys, it's time for you to have second child, So and she had a medical background, and then she was already telling us, you guys have to start preparing for your second child. I was like, okay, nice. I'm actually on that journey. Before I knew it, the person she was talking to with me got pregnant.
So let me cut you at that point. At that point when the person got pregnant,
How did I
sincerely, how
feel?
did you feel?
Oh my world. I felt it was hard for me to even celebrate the person at first, it was really, really hard,
That is
right?
exactly where I am
So,
going. Celebrating others.
mm-hmm,
Because this even seemed like another topic in between this topic.
exactly.
Celebrating others' victory in the same thing you are believing God for.
It was
How
hard.
does it feel?
Oh, at that time, because I was still growing.
Mhm.
Christianity is a journey. You have
A
your
long one.
growth phases where
Yeah,
God will begin to
yeah,
deal with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
So don't even ever feel bad when you find yourself in
In
that
that
space.
situation.
Yes,
Yes.
it is what you do when you
Mm-hmm.
feel that way. So when she got pregnant, my God, only her again. And so I looked for another person that we're going to go on that journey together again.
Oh,
The other person
you
got
moved on
pregnant.
to
Yeah, she got pregnant again. So it was like, so, and in my place of work, I had another friend that was also on that journey. She has never even been pregnant before. And then, okay, so there were two of them that had never been pregnant before. So I was just going on that journey. And at some point, I really, really wanted to give up. And prior to me getting married, God had told me the number of kids I was going to have.
have. Wow.
So at some point, I have one. Let me just be okay and be satisfied and just move on, because I
Hmm.
was really tired on that journey. And the Holy Spirit just spoke to me. So you want the devil to just win? How
Win
can I
like
be
that.
that? I'm selfish.
Complacent.
I'm selfish. Am I selfish? I'm tired of waiting.
Hmm.
So I thought about it. I mean, it's true. You're being selfish. That God needs to raise an army, and you're supposed to birth so that God can raise an army
Yeah,
through your
yeah.
children. So I said, okay, I wasn't going to allow the enemy win again. That
Hmm.
okay, I'm ready to go on the journey. You know. But one thing one of my pastors said is, when you're on that journey, you need to have you're on a faith journey. You need a faith project. You need everything faith, faith, faith. For some people they'll say, okay, some people wash toilets. I have to go and wash toilet too. Some
To
people they
activate the
to
faith.
activate the
Hmm.
faith. But your faith journey has to be
Is
by
that real though? Side talk. Is that work
well,
though?
no, 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 no. So the thing is, you need to, if like I said at the beginning, that who are you going on the faith journey
Mm.
with? Whoever you're going on that faith journey with, you will listen to his instruction, right? And then part time, you do what he asks you to
To
do.
do.
For me, I then lost my father in the period of waiting and all of that. So I told God, I said, God, next year you are going to make my next year memorable one. My father's 1 year anniversary passing. I wanted it to be memorable. And so at that time, I would go online, I would read, read, read. Google was my best friend. I would read different
You
things.
waited for how many years?
4. Yeah,
Four.
yes, 4. If I calculated it well, it's 4, because I wanted 2 years between my first and my second. So God made it 6 years. So I have 6 years between my first and
And
my
second.
second. So on my journey, yes, I grew to know about God. It was God drawing me closer to Him more than the child that I was looking for. I got to know God better. You know, I I just learned to worship him and I just acknowledge him in everything. And then I started doing the series of tests. I will go online, they will say, this is the test you should do. I will not consult doctor, I'll go to the lab, I'll go and run this, and nothing will be wrong with me. I was so tired. So I did a particular test that was so painful. I wasn't asked to do the test. It was just from my Google friend, that said, okay, we'll go and check this. I went ahead, I did that test, it came back, nothing was wrong.
Wrong.
In fact, while I was waiting, I would I was always going for pregnancy tests. If I had numerous negative tests,
Hmm.
I would hide it in the car and then I'll be down again. I'm like, God, negative again. This month, negative again.
Again.
This month, negative again. In fact, while I was waiting, I was at work one day. I walked to the dispenser to get myself a cup of water, and someone just said, "Ah, Mama Rotimi, continue. Don't go have another baby." And then I
Whoa.
looked at her. I was ready to give her
People can be
a
mean.
sledgehammer, you know. And the Holy Spirit restrained me and he said, if I say that which I have in my heart, I'm
To
going to
say.
be like her.
Hmm.
Ah, it was hard, but I said at least I'm mama somebody, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I walked to my seat and I sat and I thought about on my way home, I had a conversation with God. I'm like, this how far,
Hmm.
like God,
Ah.
when, it was like everybody around me were being blessed in
Hmm.
church.
Hmm.
Everybody around me in church were being blessed. It was as if
Hmm.
it was raining babies.
That point.
And I was an exception.
Hmm.
I said, God. So after a while, I stopped even feeling bad.
Bad.
I stopped feeling bad. I wanted to, find myself. Like, okay, what's going on? So
Now
I,
you have really said a lot in just this very short time. What I have picked, you continue, but then I'm just trying to reiterate everything you've said. You've talked about picking a fake partner.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It was
and the
not.
second one you have mentioned is well, okay, there's a fake journey on the side. Another one you're running tests, you're seeing
Mm-hmm.
doctors,
Mm-hmm.
because some people will just wait. We trust God that oh, God is going to do this, and
Mm.
we are taking several seats. We're just
Mm-hmm.
there slouching and expecting that oh God has fine. We are praying, but are we doing the works? Because
Mm-hmm.
you've mentioned of how you're praying to God, you're trusting God, the faith is there, but then you're working, you're going to see doctors, you're still okay. Let's confirm that okay, oh this is
Everything is
yeah.
fine.
Another one you mentioned now is finding yourself even in the midst of because waiting should make us learn a lot of things. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just to say okay, oh, I'm just waiting. I want it. I want it served on my laps. You're finding yourself because the reason why you're waiting could be because there is a finding that you need to do.
Yeah. So the
So
waiting period was also a moment, a time to heal,
mm,
and going on a journey with God basically because you needed to find yourself. Why do you even
mm,
want this child?
yeah.
And during that journey, it's also a process where God begins to even prune you,
Mm,
and helping you to lean more into Him
mm.
to have that relationship. Because when we
Yeah.
want something, then we know that
We
this is the only person that
press.
can give us. We will press in, So it was that moment of getting to know God.
Mm,
And so one thing that I also did was I then went to see a gynae. I wanted to know what was going on with
mm,
me. And so I was on the radio program at that time and heard this gynae speak. I'm like, wow, this gynae is in my HMO hospital. I was going to make sure that I get to see her. And so when I saw her, myself and my husband were told to run series of tests. Everything was fine. And then she placed me on some medications, and those medications were really horrible ones. It made me really, really sick. And my brother is also a medical doctor in the US, and so about that time they came home for my father's funeral, and I was already on that medication, and he had gone. I stopped the medication because of the funeral plans, and after the medication, he had left, and my sister was with me. So I started taking the medications back, and I would throw up. I feel really, really messed up in the morning before going to work.
wow.
And my sister was so concerned, and she called my brother and she spoke to him and said, Mochi is on this medication, and I'm concerned about her. And so he spoke to me, asked the name of the medication. I said, you need to stop
Yeah.
those medications. This is what the
It's
medications
doing to you.
will be, they're doing to your body. Your
Whoa.
hormones going to be messing up your hormones
Yeah.
and everything. It's not going to help. So I stopped and I wasn't seeing the guy anymore. And so he said, Muji, I'm going to schedule you for a gynae friend of mine, and with a gynae friend of mine online, and she's going to see you.
Pick
So I
it
said,
up.
okay, because the gynae was based in the US.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, I'll see her. And so I actually saw this gynae. We had a teleconference basically,
Okay.
and she asked me to run some tests, And she said, okay, when I come in, I was scheduled to travel in December, that when I come in December, she was going to see my results. So we had to run all the tests again, and then I
What's
sent it
that?
to her. Oh, there were a series of tests. They wanted to know my hormones. They wanted to know if I still had eggs. They wanted to know so many things. So a lot of investigations for
How
myself.
was that for you mentally?
And oh,
Going through all
mentally,
that.
I well for me, I because it was what I wanted. I'm like, okay,
So
I'm
you
going
didn't
to
even
take this. I
mind
didn't care.
anything.
Yes, I'll take the test again. I've taken them before. They were not painful. They're just blood draws.
Mm.
So I didn't mind. My husband and I, we had to he was very supportive. He didn't even mind, any test he would go with
Just
me.
I do
And
it.
then yes, and then he would run the test as well. So when we I didn't even get to see the gynae physically. I just sent her the result. Even when I got to the US, I sent her the result, and the results are fine. I need to consult with other colleagues. She wanted to speak to another consultant to be sure, and eventually she got back to me January
Okay.
2018. Yeah, she got back to me January 2018. She was like, okay, just take so thing and all that. That's what you're just going to be on and all. I said, okay, that's fine. I can work with that. So I came back. I researched the drug and I saw that that drug that she recommended for me, I could only take it 3 times in my lifetime, right? So
Wow.
because it has side effects, yeah, because I'd researched, the gynae didn't tell me that. I just went ahead to read up
Mm.
on that medication. So I was like, okay, to make sure that this drug works fast, fast,
Hmm.
fast, fast. So I bought um Proceed. I bought, this hormonal calculator, everything. I wanted to know
I want to
when
be
to strike.
precise.
Like yes. So January I couldn't start them because there's also a particular time in your cycle you need to
Yeah,
be on
you
that
have to.
medication.
Wow.
Yes. And so January, because I just came back and I'd not had time to set, I said, okay, February we're starting. So I'd reset. I said, this thing it works 100%. If I was not even banking on God, I was just banking on that and then February I was 100% ready and nothing. Boom.
Ew.
My heart sunk like this. That January when I got back, God had asked me to take a faith project, right? And actually took the faith project. I just did it casually, was just I didn't link anything to me waiting and all
Mm.
that. I just didn't link it. And at that time, um so when I got back in January, like I had this kind of offense in my heart that I told God I will never forgive this person because legally, if you state everything legally, I was right.
Mm.
And the Holy Spirit woke me up and said, just send a message. It was painful, but I picked up my phone and I just sent the message
To the
out of
person.
obedience. Yes,
Hmm.
to the Holy Spirit, not from my heart, but
Mm.
I knew I'd submitted to a higher
Authority.
authority.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
so I did that from a painful part, but like I said, your waiting season is God working in you
You.
as
Mm.
well.
Mm.
It's bigger than that which you're waiting for.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
also
Mm.
a process.
Mm.
God needs to work in you. Because your waiting season can also even be a way of God, drawing you closer
Closer
to
to
Him
him.
so that He can achieve more with you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. So March, um, my father-in-law went into coma in March. So it was just like a very very low period for
For you.
us. We were doing hospital runs, and I lost my father March the previous, and I was
Yeah.
like, God, I said make this year, a memorable one. I don't want to bury another person. So I was so concerned about my father-in-law. All the plans I have, I do not even remember. So there's this particular morning, my friend had called me from the US. She had been concerned. So Muji, I think I want you to consider IVF. I
Mm.
looked up hospitals for you, and I think I found a very cheaper one in Arizona. I'll need you to come. And so before our call came in, I'd gone to my husband. I said, you see now, the time I'm supposed to take the medication, I've
It's
missed it.
past.
Yes,
Oh.
I've taken it, I've passed it. Da 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 da. I was not happy, and I know that it wasn't his fault because we had to take care of his dad, right?
Yeah.
So he hugged me, and then that day we made an hour before going to work that day. I was angry. somebody just told me, what if this is your lucky moment?
Mm.
I said, okay, anger, sit down
Yeah.
somewhere, you know. And because I knew that it was no longer the fatal window, nothing,
So
and so I'd forgot. I just said, okay, let's
just
just, And then so on my way to work, my friend called and she said, Amoji, I think you may have to consider IVF. I'm concerned about your
on your way to
age.
work that same day.
That same day, I'm concerned about your age. I've looked up this hospital in Arizona. I'll need you to come around. It's
Mm.
cheaper and all that. And I was like, okay, thank you for calling. In fact, I even speaking to my mood this
Mm.
morning because this morning, as I'm like this, I'm not happy, because I've taken that medication and then I missed the window, blah, blah, blah. I only have one more shot in taking this medication, but I think I'm going to go with the IVF and all that. So I said, okay, but I need to speak to my husband. So when I got back from work, I spoke to him, showed him, we went online, looked up the hospital. I said, okay, how much do you have in savings? Oh, I think, but what we had in savings was going to pay for the
Exactly.
IVF because I'd been saving that money for my childbirth, that
Hmm.
we used to pay hospital bills. But I said, okay, maybe we'll just go for the
IVF.
IVF instead, right? So, and it was like, okay, maybe when we travel in August, we'll just go. I said, okay, we're already making plans. I'm not going to come back. I'm going to have to stay, blah, blah, blah. We're already making plans ahead. So, April, fast forward to April, and we run an entertainment industry that particular time. We were running that. And so we had an Easter program for kids. So, and I know myself, I'm very, very active, And noticed that that morning, I was just so tired. I told my husband I was really tired, but I didn't know why I was tired. We were setting up for the event. We had sold tickets, we were
Mm-hmm.
expecting people and all that. And I was just doing all the work and all that. So I came back really tired. I didn't know I was pregnant anyway. And I'm used to my period being late. And I'm like, okay, I'm afraid I don't want to go and check. Right. And my friend called. I said, babes, I think I'm late, but I don't want to check because it's the day that I check, is the next day that the period comes. I'm not going to check.
Mm.
And she said, Moji,
Try
whether you
now.
check now or you check tomorrow,
The result is the
is
result.
the result is the
Nothing
same.
changes.
I said, okay, but that I don't want to go back to that hospital. They already know me there. They're always
Hmm.
laughing at me because
Hmm.
I'm Mrs. Negative, always
Hmm.
going on with negative results. The
Hmm.
nurses already knew me
Hmm.
because I rather go for blood draw and all because I know that one is very, very fast. And so I told her I think I have a test strip on because the hormonal test that I bought came with a test strip.
Okay.
So I said, okay, let me go and check because I didn't even know that I was over 1 week late.
Late.
I didn't know because
Whoa.
I didn't even pay attention because everything that I had planned out, all the things that I bought I was going to use, I didn't use them. So I felt that nothing that was going to be in April, I was going to try them again. And so I just did the test and I saw two strips. I'm
This
like,
is
God!
the get part.
Wow! Okay, so I missed something, right? So that month of March, I they had taken light at that time, and my usual expression, I would have been angry because I would have been hot and uncomfortable. And it was so unusual of me. I started worshiping.
Hmm.
I worshiped for 4 straight hours. I've never done that before. And while I was worshiping, they brought light in like space of 10 minutes. And I woke my husband. I'm like, wow, is that how it works?
Hmm.
Like in 10 minutes, I said, let me continue this worship. And I had this unusual worship for 4 hours. I started having pains in my stomach.
After
So
the
during the
during the
worship,
worship.
yeah. So I held on to that part,
Hmm.
and I remember that God, I'm actually waiting for you for a child. So I just said a word of prayer and I just continued, worshiping. But I had that sharp pain.
Pain.
Yes, and I just continued
Hmm.
worshiping. I was just worshiping and worshiping. I enjoyed myself in that place of worship.
While you were going through that pain,
The pain wasn't, it was just
wasn't
a
long. Okay.
sudden pain and
Hmm.
then it was gone,
Gone. Hmm.
right? And when I felt that sharp pain, I just said a word of prayer and I just continued worshiping. I worshiped like 4:30 to 5 a.m., since like 12 a.m.
Hmm.
to like 5. I was just enjoying myself, without even playing any song or anything. The songs were just flowing. It
Welling
had
from
never
your
happened
inside.
to me. Yes,
Wow.
it was really, really a time of koinonia. I really had fun, you know, worshiping and being intimate with God at that moment. So that went by. I wasn't linking all these things until,
Grant
later.
happened.
So when I realized I was pregnant, I didn't even know. My mom that saw me on the day of event knew I was pregnant. My brothers knew, and they thought I was hiding it, but I didn't even know I was pregnant.
Wow.
I just knew I was tired, and because the way I planned it, it didn't even happen. So I felt, this month, April, is my final month, and I'm going to ensure that
You
it
take that
clicks.
job.
Yes, I was going to take the drug. I was going to use everything that I bought. I had
Hmm.
everything planned that this is how it's going to work out.
Hmm.
But God had His own plan. He
Anyways.
wanted to take the glory that, it's
Yeah.
not all these things. So I didn't get to
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it happened.
Mm.
And, that journey that pregnancy journey was another journey. But in this waiting period, one thing that I knew is that you need to learn to trust God.
Mm.
And
Mm. Mm.
he would nudge you to do certain things.
Yeah.
The worship wasn't from the place of discomfort. Like I said, he had worked in me to the point that rather than me being upset and complaining, I started worshiping. The natural me at that time would complain
Mm.
because it was hot, right? But
Mm.
I
Mm.
didn't complain. I just started worshiping.
Yeah.
So I realized that, while waiting, God had started working on my inside. It was producing a new me. And I told God, I said, God, this baby, when you give me this baby, no more excuses in serving you.
And you yielded
Nothing,
a lot.
nothing would hinder me. Because I remember when I had my first son, I used him a lot as an excuse from joining departments, from attending meetings, from showing it was my excuse. I have a baby, I can't do that. So I said, God, this one, no excuses.
Yes. Yes.
No excuses. Once you give me this child, I would never ever give an excuse regarding this baby to serving you. No, I'm not
Mm,
going to do
mm,
that.
mm. And the part
So
where you yielded to God, because most people just want to hide, especially when in that waiting period. Just I mean the natural man just wants to be on myself. Even when God is inspiring things in their hearts, there are times that because of whatever, some of us are overthinkers. We have overthought the whole situation.
mhm,
Is it with village people that are after me? Is it somebody from my father's side or from my mother's side? And we just begin to find ourselves in that space where we have overthought it. We just like, okay, maybe it cannot even happen again. And at that point, some people then begin to they began to they bring up so many behaviors, sentiment, hatred. I mean, some people fall into depression. Some people, they're not interested in anything. They just
mhm,
want to be on their own. Just want to take life the way it comes. Well, all God is just asking you,
mhm, mhm.
relationship, just be there.
Yeah.
Like you said, he was the one that even helped you while you were worshiping. I remember when I was waiting, because like told you, I waited for almost everything in my life. Waited for this, waited to the smallest things. So me,
Mhm.
I'm just kind of used to. I know we can get to that spot, that space where we're just used to waiting. You want to get this, and you have to wait. I mean, wait patiently because of the background, or I mean, wherever the situation might be at that point. I just used to. Oh, I'll wait. It took me after about five or the sixth waiting period before I realized that the waiting period should be a period where you get close to God, where you
Mhm.
actually listen. That God, what will you have me do at this point?
Yeah, it's a
Because I
period
just
that.
got used to say this jump. My mates have wrote jump twice and they passed me. This is my fourth one. It's me now. I just started having that kind of mention about myself that it's me now. I know that I cannot have it on the first. But when I'm trying to do something for the first time, I just have it in mind that maybe I just know that it will not happen the first time. Yes, I've waited to that extent that I just felt like. But I think it was when we were waiting for my first child. I and my husband had prayed. We had, our own it was even fun to the extent that we have received the gifts in the spirit before we started waiting, before we consciously started waiting. Okay, now we're waiting for this gift. God had told us about the baby that is coming, and but when we started waiting, imagine for somebody that had even gotten a message about the gifts,
Mhm.
man. I didn't take it as a faith journey. Oh, I was crying my eyes out. I was eyes out almost every month. Anytime my period comes, I'm somewhere down, crying. I don't even want to talk. Then I started withdrawing. So most people get into that state where they just withdraw from everything. I started withdrawing. oh, why now? Didn't God just promise us when you know He wasn't going to do it this fast? Why did He? Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Then I mean, we thank God for grace again. And He brought me by Himself to that spot where you know that God actually wants you. Fine, He has told you, but have you even conceived it in your heart? Like you have rightly mentioned, that spot, that space, that time is a time for you to know what God wants to do in your life, to actually listen, to actually walk that journey with Him. Because in the end, He has to hold you through that journey. It's not a journey
Mm-hmm.
that can just walk through and say, okay,
Mm.
God has said it, Abby. You are sure waiting. Shall cannot do it. Do you understand? So
Yeah.
I really want people to understand that it's really bigger than you, even as a person.
Mm-hmm.
It's bigger than fine. God has said it to you. He's going to do it for you, but it's bigger than you because He has said His word. And in fact, you want to now say that okay, oh, whatever you are feeling at that point is bigger than what God wants to do. Definitely, what God wants to do is bigger than whatever you might be feeling, whatever. So I think people should
Yeah.
just. I understand I can be hard because it's easy to say that just get out of it.
So the waiting period shouldn't be a period that has to be wasted.
Yeah,
It's a very significant period in the life of an individual,
individual, yes.
and God never ever wastes a waiting period. You
Mm.
know,
God
He's
never waste a
yes,
waiting
is
period.
trying to make you into that mother
Mm.
that can carry that gift
That gift,
that
yeah,
is coming. You know, it's a process. You know, he would because what he's giving you is bigger than you
yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
and he needs to be able
Which is to
to
build capacity.
yes build capacity. So it's going to be working in you.
Mm.
It is it's just like the way Abraham was waiting for Isaac. You know, so he had to first make him Abraham the father of a nation before he brought Isaac to
Yeah,
him. He had
yeah.
to go through his own process too.
Mm.
So there's always the making of the mother, the
Mm.
making of the father as well. You know, it's a making. God is making us into who He has actually called us to
Mm. To
be.
be.
Yeah. So before we can handle, the gift that He's giving us, because for every gift He's giving you, it's so precious.
Mm.
You just cannot have that child and raise the child in in a manner that is not worthy of God. And so He's bringing something big for you, and
Mm.
so He needs to be able to bring you to the point of realizing that this person that is
Yeah.
coming is big, and then I need to be equipped to be able to raise
It is.
raise that
Yeah,
child.
yeah,
Your
yeah.
mind has to be ready.
For that.
God has taught you a lot during the waiting period.
Mm.
So it's a season that you've learned a lot, and that in that everything that you learned is now time for you to now
Start
start
applying it.
applying it,
Yeah.
as you raise that child.
Mm.
Just like I vowed, I said, God, this child, I would never be ever ever be a form of excuse from serving you.
You, yeah.
And yes, there were times I could have made excuses. I remembered, after I had that, they made me HOD of welfare, and it was hard raising. She was just how
An
many months
infant.
old. I would leave her. I just pack her bag, take these are bag, these are food, and then I will not show up again. And I remember one day, Kemi just came and said, Emoji, I don't like what you're doing to this baby. I don't like it, but I remember the vow. I said she's not going to die. I remembered my vow. I said nothing is going to be an excuse. Sometimes I show up in church not even well put together because I don't even have the time to take care of myself. Once she's ready, I'm showing up in church, right? Sometimes I might just get to church and just, putting on my makeup and all that because I said, God, nothing would
To hinder
ever,
me.
ever be an excuse in serving you, not
Hmm.
even this gift that I've prayed for.
Mm.
So it's a consciousness,
Yeah, yeah.
So people might not get it why you make certain things, but you know what you have said and you
Mm.
just have to live by it.
Yes.
So that was just it for me.
Yeah, yeah. My notes is full. Man, it's been such an inspiring. I said it's nice. It's going to be inspiring, educative. So thank you so much, MOJ, for sitting in my couch for this episode, and thank you so much, guys, for joining us. So we'll come your way again next time. Adulthood is not scam. You cannot run away from it. Love you, love you, love you. Bye.
Hi, thank you for having me.